This is Aesthetically Trained, the podcast. Pushing you to year-on-year progression. With your host, Ross McKinley.
Yo, Ross McKinley, Aesthetically Trained, the podcast, Q&A episode. Now I know what you're thinking. This man can talk for England, and I can, but we're going to have a very fun episode. I've got the lads watching. We've got a live studio audience. They're all here. I might even tell a few jokes. You never know. So, to keep this on point and to try a bit of a new format with the podcast episodes, I'm going to have just four minutes a question. Now, video guy Bradley, who one day is going to be as big as Joe Rogan's helper, trust us. He's gonna count down and use the timer. So once we get off with the first question in a second, which is going to be shouted from one of the legendary members who's on my Aesthetically Trained snowboarding event, I'm going to have 4 minutes to answer whatever they ask us. Now, to be clear, I don't know what the questions are. They've got us on the spot. It could be a motivational question. It could be about life. It could be about the gym. It could be about my beard or a moustache. Who knows? So let's kick it off. Who's going first, lads? I'm going to pass this over to Bradley now. Q&A episode. Let us know what you think.
So I want you to tell me the worst style of training. So, for example, like a style of training might be like yoga, going to the gym, calisthenics, things like that. So the one
CrossFit.
You made a joke.
The worst style of training. I'll be honest. Worst style of training for sure, bro, in my opinion, is people not following a program. So for me, training is about progressive overload. Training for aesthetics, anyway, is about, and what we do at Aesthetically Trained, and probably why you're watching this video, is about aesthetics, is about improving your physique, is about changing your life. And I believe that the changes you make in the gym and those little endorphin hits, the dopamine hits that we get through filling in with sheets, through adding weight to the body tweak, through improving reps, through building and shaping with physique, inspires you and gives you motivation in other areas of your life. Now, there's a big difference between exercising and just turning up the gym and going on the cross trainer for 10 minutes and what that gives you versus what we do. And the reason I believe, and why all these fucking men involved and in the group believe, and I think what we'll get even more at the events, those sets that fucking ruin you, those sets that like take you to a really tough place and you have to go somewhere you've not been before and you have to do another rep where you have to lift a little bit more weight, or you're doing that heavy set of squats or deadlifts. If you don't have that in your training, if you don't have a challenge, you don't get the thing that I believe, or the benefit that training really truly gives you and the lessons from it. And alongside that, fuck CrossFit. So definitely CrossFit. CrossFit's a cult, essentially, so be aware of that in case you get pulled into it. Great community. There's some really good business ideas in there, but be very wary of the training, especially. My other suggestions on training would be, if you're unsure of where to start, is to, even if you can't afford to work with a coach, just write your own training program, but give yourself some structure so that each week you know what you do when you go to the gym. That'll remove any anxiety you have about going to the gym. When you go in, you know that you're going to squat, that you're going to deadlift, or at the very least that you're going to train legs. And then when you're in there, write down what you're doing, start a little logbook, get a video of your form if you can, then try and build on that and improve each week. Joking aside, one of the reasons, right, this is in all seriousness, why CrossFit isn't as effective at changing your physique in terms of aesthetics is that there is no repeated stimulus. So when they go in and they do a fucking WOD, or they do Mandy or Steve or whatever the workout of the day is called, and they're trying to get in shape, but that rotates all the time. Yes, they end up all having big traps and shoulders because that's what a lot of training is, but they're not applying progressive overload regularly through a structured training program like your biceps, like your quads, to address imbalances. So when you want a proper training program, when you want to get in the best shape of your life, this stuff. Next up is Big Dunk, Mr. Aesthetically Trained. Now, you might recognise this voice when you hear it, this amazing accent from Birmingham, and it's not because he's been on Peaky Blinders, it's because he's actually been on the podcast before. So, Duncan was Aesthetically Trained Member of the Year in 2021.
Yep.
Yeah, Aesthetically Trained Member of the Year. So, Dunk's been on the podcast before, so he's going to fire a couple of questions I think you've got for us, is that right? Okay, so first one, let's go.
Okay, so, my first question is, can Aesthetically Trained help everyone, and how, and what separates Aesthetically Trained from every other online training program?
Wow, what a business opportunity this answer could be. Who knows? So, Aesthetically Trained, why is it different? Well, I think, I'm not going to get the lads on camera, but they can probably tell tell you just as well as what I can. But for me, what I love, I was showing the lads the programs here earlier, but attention to detail. I absolutely love writing training programs. That's my passion for sure. But where I think it's different and what makes us stand out is the community. Is what I mentioned before about challenges, but it's the community and the men in the group. Now you might think, well, there's other online groups. Trust us, it's not like this. And what I mean by that is we'll have men from all walks of life. We've got business owners, we've got lads working night shifts, we've got train drivers, we've got builders, we've got chefs, we've got everyone. But it's all about having that collective goal. And what I do in the group and in Aesthetically Trained is I get the lads to share their experiences, to share their stories, but also to share the task of taking on challenges together. So when you're doing a training program with us, you're not doing the training program alone. You can be in your gym in Birmingham and there can be someone else doing the same training program or a similar training program in Newcastle, in Australia, in America, in all different parts of the world. And what it means is, and what I love about the online community and getting men to share what they're doing, is that you can think you've had a great day, you can think you've had a bad day, but we all know as men, we're competitive and want to do more, want to push each other to do more. And when you think about not going, or when you need a shoulder to cry on, other men in the group will be there to push you. They'll give you that support, they'll give you that competitive edge. It means that when you get home, or when you don't want to do the meal prep, or when you don't want to do the training program, you remember about Eric Miller out in America, over 60 years old, heart problems, where else, who's changed his health, who's changed his life, who's still in the group person. You remember about Big Mike, had a fucking heart attack, not my fault, come to Lisbon, deadlifting the next week, deadlifting 180. You're getting inspiration from other people, not just me. And that's the difference. It's not fucking Ross McKinley Fitness. It's not the one-man show, although this episode is. It isn't about that. It's about every single man in the group and learning the lessons that they can teach each other. People initially sign up because they want to challenge, they want to prove that they're a hard cunt, they want to prove that they can do the 28 days, they want to be better. But then along the way, every single one of these men sat here have worked with me for more than 6 months. More than 6 months. Mike's worked with us for over 3 years. Jason's worked with us 2 years. All of you have worked for us. All of you, in fact, every single one of you here have done over a year. And you build that trust, you build that bond to what's in the title of the podcast episode, year-on-year progression in all areas. It is much, much more than a training program. It's a community, it's a family, it's a brotherhood, it's everything. But we believe, and I push them, to start that journey with training, diet, discipline, and challenges in those areas. And also, I like shouting at the camera a lot, and that gets them in, and that's what maybe makes it a little bit different. Because where else are you going to get? You just get these podcast episodes. These get these videos in the group every single week. Mike gets us messaging them on WhatsApp and ringing them every week. All of these things make it very, very special. Cheers to that. They're drinking wine, by the way. I'm sat here being very professional. We're enjoying my last night. Can it help everyone? It can help every man. So to round off on that, I think that I believe, and I sometimes get women messaging us, I believe that you should work with, and why should you not work with a specialist? Why should you not work with an expert? For me, I'm natural. I'm working really, really hard to improve my own physique, optimizing, natural performance, if you like. I'm not a competing bodybuilder taking steroids. I'm not a woman, obviously. So for me, it makes sense that mainly the people I help are men who are on a similar journey to me. Ages from between 20 to 60 to whatever, but generally speaking, men. For women, or for men who maybe have different goals, I don't think in a very saturated market, which is online coaching and personal training, why would you work with a coach who isn't chasing and achieving and has proved that they can have and help you get those goals that you want? So that's the answer to that one. Dom Schiavetta, you might have seen Dom's results. He's absolutely fucking shredded. So Dom was probably one of the biggest transformations of last year. Joined the 28-day challenge in January, then done the 12-week transformation, continued training since. He's actually become a bit of a TikTok sensation, so, I don't know who of you here actually watches TikTok. Maybe you're a 13-year-old girl watching this. You might have seen Dom. So, Dom, what is your question?
So, with obviously travelling the world and being super busy like you are, what motivates you every day to train and to stay with, obviously, your diet?
Are you trying to ask me about longevity, Dom?
I am, yes.
Is that what that is?
But we've only got 4 minutes.
We've only got 4 minutes, and that is a big question. So maybe if you like the answer to this, we can do a future podcast episode on it, so let me know below. Motivation, training, while I'm travelling, life as well, or just with the training and dieting side of things?
Just the training and diet.
Yeah, training and diet.
How do you stay on track?
Well, like I mentioned before, and answer Duncan's question, a big inspiration for me is the men in this group. So what they're lifting in the gym, their results, their physique, taking inspiration from the man I coach for sure, setting an example. So you never know who you're setting an example to. You never know whether it's your friends, whether it's your family. And sometimes, I believe, be the lighthouse, not the tugboat. As in, you don't go out and say to your partner or say to your mates, like, you should train, you should do this, whatever, and preach to them. You do your own thing, but do it to the absolute best of your ability. Be the lighthouse, be the man. You've got to be the man every day. And if you keep doing that, eventually, you realise that you're setting an example to a lot of people. So that inspires us first and foremost. I know at any one time, I've got typically around 100 men who I can't let down. That's very, very inspiring and motivating for sure. And then also, in terms of my own goals while I'm away, I love fucking proving a point. Absolutely love it. The only thing better than proving people wrong is proving yourself right. And I'm all about that. So whether it's a challenge, whether it's training, whether it's like people saying, you know, that I wouldn't be able to run a business when I'm traveling the world, that the business would go downhill. People think that I wouldn't be able to train, that my physique would get worse, that you can't eat out, that it just isn't possible. All of these stories that people tell themselves in their head can be overcome. Whether it's that you think you can't get to the gym, whether it's you think that you're too old to start a new business or have a career change, all of these stories, all of these, like, what would you say, all of these excuses that you tell yourself essentially are fear of failure or giving yourself a reason to not fully go for it. So for me, that motivates me every single day. But in a really big one for me, and I know that everyone who knows this, I get very, very fired up by saying stupid things and then following through on it. So for me, like, to set a goal that I know is achievable is, it's okay. But what I really like is setting a goal and then people going, are you gonna do that one? This year I want to train every day, exercise every day. Now, we had an amazing night here last night. We went out, some of us rolled in at 7 o'clock this morning. I wasn't one of them because I was in bed a few hours earlier being sick. So I had a fucking massive night. Now, let me tell you, some of the sick didn't even make it to the bin, it was on the floor. So let me tell you, am I motivated today to get up and go run? Now, we're snowboarding, right? We're on a snowboarding holiday. I've exercised every single day in 2023. I'm on holiday, effectively. I'm on a training trip with these lads. I feel like shit. I'm a little bit hungover. I've also got to let my hair down and spend time with what are my friends, my clients. I've got to socialise. But at any one time, going to my first point, I've got to set an example. If I'm not the fucking man, then who is? If not me, who? So today, like every other day, when I say I'm going to do something, I go and do it. So I went running, absolutely sweating my box off, sweating all the red wine out of us, all of the tequila shots out of us, run all the way up a hill in Morzine, all the way down, sprints on the way back up, went to the shop, actually went and bought some logs, specifically for this video so that we can have this fire on, carried them back. And that's just one example. But that ethos, that mentality, comes from continually asking yourself every day those questions, continually thinking for Dom, and then finding the time, finding a way. And the biggest thing I've learned to tie into that, even though I'm talking to these lads here about, and even in this episode, filling your sheets in, following a training program, doing everything right, is realising that when I'm travelling, I've got to be flexible. So some days for me, it's meant that I can't get to the gym, but in order to not break the habit, I've done press-ups at home. So for you watching this, it doesn't have to be that you're aiming for the best and that you're optimal straight away. You're not going to hit everything 100 mile an hour and hit the ground running. And actually, even during your journey, you're going to have some weeks where because of your work, because of your family, you can't keep up at that level that you're aiming for. But that's the point when you see who the real players are. That's the point when you see the people who are going to be in it for a year, who are going to be in it for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, who are going to end up doing a photo shoot, who are going to lose 30 kilos, who are going to deadlift 3 times body weight. Because by very definition, your best day can only be 1 day of the year. 1 out of 365. So if you're waiting for your best day, you've got 364 days where you're doing fuck all. So you have to accept what you can do each day and don't let chasing perfect or whatever the stupid saying is get in the way of being good. Which to me means when I can't be 100%, don't worry or don't forget or don't aim for hitting what I can, which sometimes means 60%, 70%, 80%, which sometimes means just doing press-ups at home. Sometimes means today going on a very hungover run.
Where do you see Aesthetically Trained in the next 5 years?
It's a great last question from a great man. So, where will Aesthetically Trained be in 5 years? Bigger, better, worldwide, fully. So right now, you've probably seen on social media, my adverts all over social media. We're trying to branch out. We're trying to improve the business. If you do see those adverts, make sure that you click like and drop a comment, because that massively helps the algorithms across all platforms. But in all seriousness, the goal is to continue improving. For me, I want to add more value. Something I ask myself when I'm journaling, another one of my habits this year, is how can I add more value to Aesthetically Trained? My goal, business-wise, has never been, although of course we all write them down, to earn a certain amount of money. It's always been about helping more and more people. How can I add more value to the service? How can I make the business better? Not just for me, but for the men that I coach. And I believe that if you aim to be the best at what you do, everything else will come with that. So for the business in the next 5 years, I think something we're going to do this year is definitely bring more coaches on board, or one in mind. I'm not going to say who it is yet, but definitely have one more coach on board who can help with more specific areas and different types of training programs. So whether that's powerlifting, strongman, to give the men an opportunity in the group to get expert advice, like I've mentioned, from experts in a different area. I want to have more time doing the things that I think I'm best at, so more regular video content and having a better schedule for both podcasts, which is why we're doing this, content in the group, more contact with the men that's involved, so removing myself from some of the admin sides of the business and giving more time and more effort to the men that are involved, because I think that's where it would see them grow the most. In the next 5 years, I genuinely want to have people all over the world working with Aesthetically Trained. I'd love to have gyms in the UK, in Barcelona, all over the world, who knows. But I definitely want to get back into gyms and have ATG, Aesthetically Trained Gym. I think that'll be sick. Then I can host events from the gyms, I can host seminars from the gyms, it can become as part of the inner circle and Aesthetically Trained membership. They come to the gym once a month, we do photo shoots from there, we do strongman competitions, powerlifting competitions, bodybuilding, whatever it is. We'll have a hub for Aesthetically Trained. I want to continue to do more events worldwide, but also I want to do more events in the UK. So one of the big things this year, and has been amazing doing more and more events, but also I realise that some people don't necessarily want to travel, some people can't afford to. So I want to be able to help all men across all parts of the Aesthetically Trained spectrum and give back to all of them, whether that's my time in the gym and hosting more seminars and doing that, whether it's abroad and going to new places. But ultimately, I want to be at all of your weddings, if you get remarried. And I really want to make a massive impact on all of your lives. One of the things I've always thought of myself, and this is really, really cringy, but it's something that I don't know if I've shared before. I love the idea that at the end of someone's life, like, to think of a person who had a big impact in a positive way, and that I'm that person. And I want to be that for as many people as possible. Whether it's that I give you the confidence to start a new job, the physique change, and ultimately, and this is really important, what we do at Aesthetically Trained and how the business will grow is always going to be through training and diet. I'm not going to branch off and start doing, completely different stuff. This is my bag, this is what I do. But I believe, and I've said it in this episode alone, that the changes we get and the more I can help you there, the bigger the positive change in the other areas. And ultimately, the more the business will grow. So for sure, gyms, worldwide events, climbing Everest to base camp, and members-wise, I feel like one thing I will say, I don't know in 5 years, but I feel like there is a ceiling to Aesthetically Trained, not in terms of growth, but in terms of the inner circle. So I think that probably 150, 200 members in certain programs are probably the most that it could do. And I think that at that point we'd probably look to make it even more exclusive and shut it down. Because what I never want to lose is the one-to-one relationships that I have with all of the lads in the group. And I think that to have a tribe, to have a following, you can have lots of followers on social media, but to be able to do these events, to be able to create these kinds of connections and to spend time together and to really grow as people, there needs to be quite a fucking cool, specific, exclusive membership base, which isn't just any cunt can join. It's never going to be that. There's always going to be, you have to do the 28-day challenge first. You have to go through the fire to get into the cool club. And I think by doing it that way, I know that the people that grow with us, the people that I attract into the group, I class all of you as friends for life now. So I just need to keep doing that, but on a bigger and bigger scale. And also be willing to ask for help to help us scale it properly. Which is why Video Guy Bradley is helping out with this video and all videos moving forward and all events to capture it and help it grow and to do, again, Bradley here, the absolute best job possible. And by doing that, it'll grow. Sick?
Do you want to wrap up?
Don't want to wrap up. This has been a Q&A episode. It's been a little bit different. What did you think? You can let us know in the comments below. I've answered 5 questions. If you, yes you, have any questions, you can comment below and I might do it in a future episode. Who knows, I might even say your name out in public and people get excited by that. I'll put it on a video. So if you've got a question, I want you to comment below. I want you to hit like on the video and I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you gained something from the video. Have a fantastic day wherever in the world you are. See you soon.
You've been listening to Aesthetically Trained, the podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and spread the word.